What's up? This was next to last episode of After Thrones. And as expected, shit got pretty crazy. We opened the episode with, I guess you could say, the trial. It wasn't much of a trial, but the trial for Varys. Dany finds out, obviously, that he's been conspiring against her, and that Tyrion is the one that led the information, and he was told by Sansa. So, I mean, basically at this point, Dany's just feeling betrayed all around. Every one of her advisors have not really turned their back on her, but in a sense, kind of plotting against her.
They think she's crazy.
Well, they're right. But this is my thing. Okay, this episode tonight there was some hard parts to watch, but I understand from watching it from the first. Like, I wasn't one of those people that got caught up on Game of Thrones. I started watching in the beginning, and I've been through this journey, this 10-year journey or whatever with Daenerys, and she's lost everything. She's lost so much that it would drive anybody crazy. Like, yes, her ideals and stuff, the way she went about it was completely wrong. But I do understand, in her mind, she thinks she's doing right. She's basically saying, like, if I free the world from this tyrant, all future generations are going to be better off. Yeah, she's building it on the blood and bones of innocence, but in her mind, she's saving hundreds of thousands for the future. So it's kind of like Thanos in Endgame.
I'm a little...
It's not right, but she believes she's doing it.
I feel like a little different. I think that I've always liked Daenerys, but I've always thought she had, like, even from the beginning, even when she was like an innocent type of creature,
she always had her mindset on the throne.
I feel that,
and there was some manipulation going on.
She's the Mad King's daughter. Like, it's genetically inclined in her. Like,
and that's probably true.
And you see her brother. You see Viserys, like, being so, like,
do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and I think that she always was scared of Viserys for that attitude, but ended up being just like him,
if not worse.
And it's like, I think what even fueled more fire for her to be even more like that was for the fact of she wants the throne that bad because she hates Cersei that bad.
Cersei's taken away everything,
and not even just that, but it's the fact
of
she finds out
her best friend
that she's really not the rightful heir of the throne.
Yeah, that shook her to her core.
And I think that's even, like, the bigger part of why she has so much hate and so much, like, you see her in the first couple of seasons being, I free slaves from Marine, and I free slaves from Astapor, and I and
break
you're
her
like,
chains.
You're like, oh my god, this lady is awesome. Like, she's freeing all these slaves, she's killing these terrible slave owners, and you're like, hell yeah, go girl. And now you're like, he's totally for it. I'm like, this bitch is crazy.
I'm not totally for her actions. I'm just saying I understand where she's coming from, because she's had everything taken. She's lost two of her dragons. She's lost her best friend. Every single person that she has trusted and let in has basically turned their backs on, and she can't. I think really what broke it, because she even said, I have no love here, and he's like, you'll always be my queen, and she goes in to, make a move on him, which, again, is not strange to her. Her ancestors done it for years, and Jon just can't get with it. And she says, basically, I guess, she's like, okay then, it'll be fear. And that's when she crosses that line off of, there is I'm not going to let my heart play anymore. It's going to be what I want, and this is what I have to do to get it. And I think that's where she really Jon's affections wasn't reciprocated, and she just decides that's it. I'm doing me,
But you see Tyrion, obviously, Tyrion is, like, afraid of Daenerys. Yeah. And he has been afraid of Daenerys for quite some time now.
Since he met her?
No, not necessarily since he met her, but for a while, seeing her actions towards certain circumstances, and he's just to the point where he totally agrees with Varys, but he also he wants to side with the queen that he believes in, and I really think that he does believe in Daenerys, but at the same time, he doesn't, because he doesn't want to see...
He's lost faith in her now.
He doesn't want to see innocent people die, which I 100% agree, and at the first, you see Daenerys seasons and seasons ago not wanting to kill innocent people, and you're like, okay,
I mean, for sure, she went Mad Queen. She went Mad Queen all the way, for sure.
Maybe she has sympathy and, like, a rightful mind in her head, but at some point, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Tyrion, the Unsullied capture Jaime, obviously. There's no way he's gonna just sneak in this.
He's like, how did you get caught? And he just like raises his gold hand up, and he's like,
you're just like,
you know, like
yeah,
he goes,
okay.
You didn't think of taking it off? And he's like, Cersei called me one time the stupidest Lannister.
Yeah,
he's like,
exactly.
I'm the stupid
Lannister.
Lannister.
You know, you're like getting mad because you're like, oh my god, you're really gonna let Cersei and Jaime...
my thing is, when he left Brienne, I was like, he's going to kill Cersei. Like, that was my thoughts.
I didn't have that thought.
And now, when you're getting to it,
he loves Cersei too much.
When you're getting down to it, and he's talking about going back to Cersei, you're just like, I lost all love for Jaime. Like, he was one of my favorite characters in some points in the show, and when he was talking about going back to this crazy murderous bitch, I'm just like, nah, I'm done with you, bro. I'm done with you. And kind of the same thing with Tyrion. Like, I understand, like, he repaid the favor. He saved his brother's life. He, you know, his whole life, you know, Jaime's had his back. So I get it. But at the same time, you want to punch Tyrion in the fucking face because you're like, bro, you're really fucking up. You're fucking up. Yeah, you're fucking terrible. She doesn't care about you. She's trying to kill you your whole life.
Yeah. So then you see the Iron Fleet. They're all ready for battle.
They got the Scorpions, the new improved Scorpions, like
all
being prepped.
All on the Iron Fleet, plus the walls of King's Landing. And
there's hundreds of these things.
Yeah, a lot.
And then the whole time, this whole speculation, I even put a little thing up on Facebook. I thought there was going to be more dragons. I thought that the time when Drogon left, and you know, a couple seasons back after season 4, that he went and laid eggs in Old Valyrian, and that's when they saw, you know, Tyrion and Jorah was in the boat in Doom Valyria, and I was like, that he laid eggs and they're about to hatch, and we're about to have like fucking dragon army coming down.
That'd been awesome.
It would have been. That's what I wanted. That was one of the really disappointing part of the show. But I mean, what did happen? Drogon
literally
fucking kicked ass.
Literally scorched all of the Iron Fleet.
Like in 2 seconds.
Plus,
2 seconds.
He also scorched all of the Scorpions on the wall of King's Landing.
Well, this whole time you're like, okay, he just knocked out the Iron Fleet like one thing. And you see Euron jump off. Of course, he's gonna survive.
Yeah.
And you see the Golden Company, and they're faced off against, you know, the Dothraki and the Unsullied and stuff, and
the
Jon
Northern Army, like,
and then I don't even know what the guy's name was, but the leader of the Golden Company,
yeah.
He's sitting there on his horse and stuff, and you just hear this kind of rumble, and then
literally
boom!
die in like 5 seconds. Like, you're like, oh,
destroyed half the army, broke the wall in one
like
flame.
Broke the wall like towards like the opening. So basically, they like invade and get in.
And this whole time, every 5 seconds, you see a Scorpion like lining up, and there's just
Drogon like destroys.
Just wiping them out. I mean, he's just going and just wiping.
Basically, like, destroys them all. But I was still super skeptical because I'm like, Cersei's smarter than that. She has one hidden.
Oh, the whole time she's sitting there up in her little red keep, like, oh, don't worry, this is all going to be over. The red keep has never fallen. It's not falling today. Just so confident. All my soldiers would die for their queen in the last sword.
You basically see they always, all the people in King's Landing are like, ring the bell, which basically means like
surrender.
You surrender.
The city's been sacked.
And it's been taken over. And
that's what Tyrion's been waiting for the whole time.
John's standing there, Grey Worm's standing there, Davos is standing there with obviously all the Lannister army like waiting to like they're just like waiting.
They're just like
and
basically they basically are waiting, and then Daenerys and Drogon land on the thing and just
scared.
like
They're scared.
And they're like, fuck this, I'm not dying, and they just start throwing down their swords. And then you see Dany break. You see Dany lose it. She's sitting there and she's looking at this Red Keep, and like if you watch the after show, they're saying that's her ancestors built that, and that's symbolizes everything that Cersei has taken from her. And she just loses it. She just goes fucking crazy, and she decides to make it personal. And what ensues, like I said, I get where she's coming from and I get why she's doing it, but it was terrible nonetheless. I mean, I thought she was just going to go straight for the Red Keep. No. This bitch burns every inch of King's Landing and everyone in it.
Every,
innocence, mother, child,
yeah. And
peasants.
You're like, at this point, you're like, okay, Dany, like, I get, like, you're trying to siege the city, but, like, there's a better way of, like, you could have went on, like, the person that you really want to destroy is
was just right there. Yeah.
And
like,
you
just
could have
go up there and
just like,
done.
Flied over and, like, killed Cersei, and it would have been over. And
she did. She went full Mad Queen, and I think that's what a lot of people wanted. But I don't know if they really wanted to see what that was going, because how they filmed it from the perspective of death from above, and everybody on the ground is who you're with, and you see all this terror and sacrifice and this innocence dying and being burnt alive to a crisp, and it's tough to watch. I mean, some of this stuff is tough to watch, and the whole time, Arya and the Mountain are like basically sneaking in. They've got two names on their list. The Mountain has his brother.
They have the Mountain. No, the Hound has the Mountain.
Oh yeah, the Hound has his brother, and
then you have Arya.
Arya's like, I'm killing Cersei. She goes, what are you two doing here? And she's like, my name is Arya Stark, and I'm here to kill Cersei Lannister. And he's just like, and she's just like, badass bitch, like, step aside, like, they just trot on through the lines, you know?
So they get inside, obviously, you're, like, waiting, you're, like, just waiting and waiting, but obviously you also have the perspective of them following Jaime, and Jaime ends up killing Euron. And
they have this little fight, and I was like, Jaime's not going to die. She was saying, he's not. Well, he did. He stabbed him a couple of good times.
Guaranteed, if you watched him even longer, Jaime, like, even Euron after
he would have bled out for sure.
Even after, like, Euron got, like, stabbed, he's like, I got you. I killed Jaime Lannister, which ended up and ultimately, like, would have killed him.
Yeah, he would have bled out for sure.
So, and you're like, I knew Euron was gonna kill him, even though Euron like necessarily like died first. Mm-hmm. Jaime was gonna end up dying first. Yeah. Like, it was just the fact
he was barely making it. He just, exactly. I think the only thing that drove him to go was his love for Cersei. Which, say what you want, he's fucking insane. I mean, she's 10 times worse than Dany, and she's been 10 times worse than Dany the entire show, and he still goes back to this fucking hateful, murderous fucking cunt. But say what you want.
That's a terrible word. Don't ever use that word.
She is a cunt. That is a terrible word. And she does deserve every bit of that word.
But you end up seeing, like, obviously you see the perspective of, like, before, you're going around, there's so many, like, perspectives of the show. You're seeing Cersei's perspective, you're seeing not really a ton of Jaime's perspective, but you see a lot of Drogon. You see the carnage that you see a lot of Drogon, obviously, and then you see Grey Worm's, like, obviously, like, mad.
Grey Worm's lost it, too.
He's so mad. He lost the love of his life. And now
he's really the one, when she flew off, he took his spear and was like, fuck this. And the guy has his back turned, and he still kills him, and then everybody else just goes. And then
you see Jon, you're like, Jon is obviously the most honorable man out there. Like,
and Jon and Sir Davos, they're doing everything they can to hold these guys back. But they follow Grey Worm.
Jon is, like, at the point of, like, we're not here to kill innocents. We're here to kill army men, like Lannister soldiers.
Well, when it's war, and John can understand that. But when
but
the war is over,
when it comes to
he has that
like,
line.
Killing of like innocent people, like
he can't do it.
Innocent women,
and you even see him later
like,
on. You know, this guy's about to rape this girl. One of their here we go.
Super dark.
Super dark.
Literally so dark.
So, and he ends up killing one of his own because he's just like, this is not right. You know what I mean? Like, and I agree. I agree with
and
John and Sir Davos.
I'm just like, John.
But they were the only ones. They were the only ones, and they're fighting a losing battle. I mean, you've got hundreds of thousands of these soldiers just sacking the city. And when a city gets sacked, it's not pretty.
Yeah, but it's not to the point of like, okay, let's rape every fucking innocent lady in the street.
No, absolutely not. And that's what some of them are doing, and that's what.
And you're like, like killing
you see the moral boundaries. You see the moral boundaries of
soldier
people. You see the moral boundaries of people.
Killing and then Sully killing Lannister. I get it, whatever. Like necessarily we're out of war, but they're killing each other for the fact of. One's killing another.
Well, even John's killing him just because
defense mechanism.
He's just trying to defend
himself. Like he doesn't want to kill these people, but he's like doing it. And
I think this is where John has lost all faith in Dany. You can see it in his eyes that, and this is what I believe. It's going to be either Arya or John to kill Dany. I think it's going to be John. I really do. Like the whole you know,
I don't know, she's got
prophecy of. All the eyes that Arya's going to close, you know, blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes. You know, Cersei's obviously dead. Dany has blue eyes because this is the thing. They must have forgot the colored contacts because in the last episode they zoomed in on her eyes,
just like me,
and they were green, and the whole internet went crazy. So it must have been just like the coffee cup, and they forgot the colored contacts.
Her eyes are blue,
and they did zoom in on her eyes this time, and they're back to blue. So. I think John is going to be the one to kill Dany for sure.
I don't know, but obviously the Hound and Arya are on a mission. Obviously said that before, and then you see the Hound tell Arya like he goes
into big father mode.
You need to leave. Like we want you to live. Like he obviously cares about her. And you're like, ultimately, like...
He's like, look at me. Do you want to become like me? He's like, this is all I have.
Like,
this is all that runs me,
He ends up going and fighting. Like, the Mountain is like a subhuman human being.
He's a zombie.
Like,
he's a zombie.
He, like, basically pushed Sir Gregor aside, like, dead. Like, no big deal. And then he obviously could have pushed Cersei aside, which would have been awesome.
And Cersei was just like, okay, you guys deal with this bullshit.
Exactly.
I'm just going to run by you guys.
Arya left, which I was like, oh, I really hope Arya just jumps out.
Me too. I was waiting for it.
Didn't want to happen, but he ended up, you know, I was so upset. Like, the whole time, I'm like...
She's like, he's gonna die! He's gonna die! I'm like, he's not gonna die. He's not gonna die. But the thing about it is, they both die.
No,
I knew that the Mountain was not gonna kill the Hound and just walk off. I knew that's not how they were gonna end it. And like they said in the after show, you know, like, the Hound's biggest fear is fire, and he had to die by fire, and the only thing that could push him that far was the person that inspired that fear in the first place.
I was just super upset. Like I
will say that the Mountain is a tough bastard. Gets stabbed. This dude just takes a sword out of his body and just
but they both die. Like you see the Mountain pull a sword out of his stomach.
I will say this.
Out of his his trap.
His eye.
See, and then you see him pulling out his eye. You see the Hound, literally gets. He's about to do,
I thought when he got him up and he had his thumbs in his eyes, I'm like, okay, you might be right. He might die. And then he stabs him in the eye, and then he sees his chance. He just tackles him, and they fall, hundreds of feet into the fire. But that was his character arc. That's all he cared about for the whole show.
But I'm just still
once a person's character arc is over, they die in the show. That's how it goes.
You hate him, but you love him.
Oh, for the first part of the series, you hated the Hound with a passion, but
you don't.
And yes, you do. The first part when he's Joffrey's little minion, you hate him. He's terrible. He kills the butcher's boy with no sympathy at all. No. But he does turn a leaf, and you're like, just like Jamie, you're like, oh, okay, I started to become a fan of him, and he died one of my favorite characters. I can't say the same for Jamie. You know.
Yeah, well, and then obviously Jamie and Cersei get away. They're underneath. They're like, the whole plan was them to sneak underneath where the dragons
Davos
are.
was going to smuggle them out.
And Davos was going to smuggle them out in a boat. And that's terrible. And I'm like, I really hope
the whole time
terrible.
I'm thinking he's going to stab her. He's going to stab her. He's going to stab her. And he
No,
doesn't. He's just
why?
like, all that matters is you and me. Blah,
No,
blah.
I knew he was going to stab her.
And I didn't think they were going to die. But then, you know, they're all the entrance ways are blocked and everything. And you're like, okay, you know, this might. And I will say
you literally
this.
see in the background, like,
just
all
like
the walls, just like.
And
you're like,
I
oh my
am
god,
not,
is Cersei and Jamie about to die
I
right
am
now?
not cool with how she died. That was way too good of a death for her. I'm happy she's taking a dirt nap, but she should have suffered.
Yeah, but
She should have suffered.
she ended up dying, and you know, she could have died. She may have not. Whatever.
They're dead. They're dead. If this show, she's like,
She just comes back to
yeah,
life.
pulls her hand out of the rubble, I'm going to be like, okay, turning the show off. This is the bullshit. No,
well,
she's dead.
And then obviously after that, you see, you know, mostly of the end of the
Episode
show,
is Arya.
you see Arya, like from her perspective, and I really like how you watch the after show and you see one of the producers saying like, we wanted to follow around a main character.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to follow
It gives you more.
You wanted to follow around Jon. You
passion
wanted
for
to follow around, you know, anyone. It could have been Jon. It could have been Arya. It could have been Tyrion. It could have been Davos. Like a character that you
care
really
about.
care about, that you don't want to die, and you just watch them. And obviously, you see Arya. Like Arya is obviously Cersei's dead. Like you know, she knows at this point. Like if Cersei isn't dead, like I'm gonna get you.
Right.
Girl.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like she's just trying to keep these innocent people alive because.
And I think what breaks her heart, and this is going to break her, and I think this is one of the reasons that Arya may be the one to kill Dany, because she's this whole time you're following this lady and her little girl around, and they kind of keep coming back into and one of the things is she saves Arya's life, and then Arya has a chance to save her life, and she fails. Dany comes in, swooping in, and just, I mean, you see this lady, and she's just holding on to her little girl,
and they basically,
and they're
like,
burnt to a crisp.
Like you remember if you ever watched like Pompeii, like look, Kit Harington's in Pompeii. But same idea, like basically,
and you could just see the rage in Arya's eyes. I think that's the reason why.
I think it was anyone's.
She's
like,
gonna be.
You see Arya like being so upset.
I just don't know if Jon has what it takes to kill Dany. I just don't know if he does.
You see Arya being so upset for the purpose of, we know we had to take the city, but was this the right way to take the city?
Absolutely not.
And you also see Jon's perspective and Davos's perspective in the episode of like, is this the right way that we needed to take the city? And I think that Grey Worm's so adjusted to it. Obviously, he's upset.
Yeah.
But he also saw Dany take this like Marine, and he saw how she took it. Which was the same way.
Yeah.
She took it by fire and blood.
Fire and blood, that's their sigil. And she said in the beginning of every season, I will take what's mine by fire and blood.
And
so no one should really be surprised.
At this point, 100%, but at this point, you're like, do I really like Dany? Like, you know.
I'm on two sides of the fence. I understand why she did, but I'm still for her. I'm still for her cause. She believes she's doing the right thing. It's kind of like Thanos in Infinity War when he snaps. He's trying to do the right thing because he thinks it's going to make for a better universe.
No, but I 100% believe in like he has his thoughts about Daenerys. I get it where you can think
I think he's lost all faith.
You can think of Daenerys in the fact of she's lost a lot. I get it, and I 100%.
She's lost everything.
And I understand that. But at some point, if you are trying to be the queen of these people for the future generations, they're always going to remember you for the facts of how you started.
They're not going to remember you because no one is there to remember.
Exactly. So where are these people that are going to...
The survivors.
Yeah, but they're not.
The survivors.
The thing is they're going to... This is my thing. They're going to think about you.
It's just like she said, I could either have love or fear. And she goes in and she
She
tries to
doesn't
have
have-
love. She tries to give John her love. And he rescinds.
Yeah, but
and
this
she's
isn't,
like,
this isn't for the fact
oh,
of
it does.
love.
Yes, it
This
does.
isn't
Yes, it
love.
does. That is where she decides. She said, I can have love or fear. And she backs
No, but
away
this
and she
is
said,
John-
then I will have
this
fear.
Is John being like,
No,
this is
that's when she decides. She said, then
you
I will have fear.
This is your opinion.
Even the
you have
even
your,
the people said it at
babe,
the end.
Babe, you have your opinion, and I'm going to say mine. I don't agree with the way she's handling things because, okay, 100%. You've gone through a lot. You've lost a lot. I get it.
Everybody's betrayed you. I'm sorry. I'm
John
sorry.
has lost more than Daenerys. John got
John
no. Yes, he
hasn't.
has. Yes.
He still has all his family.
Yeah, because they are survivors.
It doesn't matter. She still
I
is
don't
lost.
I don't
And
get
more.
it. To me, I think that John.
Team Danny. Team
Team
Danny.
John.
John is still with Danny. I don't think
No,
he's ever
he's
going to
not.
turn on her.
No, he's not.
He doesn't have. He doesn't have the balls to turn on her.
Whatever. I don't care.
Arya's
But-
going to be the one to kill her.
But my opinion is that I am totally for John for the fact of he is loyal, regardless if that's what got Ned Stark dead. I get it, 100%. But he's going to stick that to the core, no matter what.
He can't
and
help
he will
it.
die with honor, no matter what. If he dies, he died with honor.
Yeah.
Same way Ned Stark died. And the fact is that the same way that Varys died. I know that Varys was spreading, but he was spreading the truth. He wasn't spreading lies about people.
He was a schemer. I'm not. He wasn't. He never was a favorite of mine. I will say that scene when you saw nothing but black and then you just see Drogo. I mean, that shit was sick. I mean, that was like holy shit.
But my opinion is
And
that
she didn't even say Dracarys. Like, you don't even. I sentenced you to death. You don't get a trial.
No, I knew he wasn't going to. If it's up to Dany, no one's getting no trial. Your ass is burned to a crisp.
No,
Goodbye.
before she
Have a
did that,
nice
she
day.
let everybody give him a chance to bow. And yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Not now. Now she's to the point where she's like, I don't care. I don't care what you say.
But you just said that
screwed
she's
me
never
over.
done that. That's the first time that she's executed someone without a trial.
Yeah, but yeah, whatever.
Still the first time.
But you can be all Team Danny all day long. We can have opposing views. But I'm definitely.
I believe she's still going to die. I believe John's going to be on the Iron Throne because Arya's going to kill her.
100% Jon Snow or Aegon Targaryen.
What's going to happen is Arya's going to kill Dany.
We don't
John's
know.
going to be on
We
the
don't
Iron
know,
Throne. That's my
but
predictions right
that's
now.
my. I just really want to see. I really just want to see. Honestly, it's not for the fact of Jon or Arya or anyone who killed Dany. I don't care about Dany getting killed. I really don't. But I want Jon to grow a pair. Honestly, that's all
not
I
gonna
want.
happen.
And
That's not going to happen.
I want him to realize that Dany he must love her as a person, and he does.
He does.
But I want him to realize that she isn't the rightful ruler. She isn't the person to lead the rest of the future into the future because she just killed them all.
It just depends on how you would, you can't really say how she's going to reign after this. She could be
She's
great
gonna
ruler,
be a crazy person.
or she could be a crazy person.
No, she's a crazy person because she isn't like, hey, by the way, I just burnt everyone to a crisp. I've got the throne because I killed everyone. Hula, 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 hula.
She does.
You
She
know,
does have
and
a throne.
I
think, like I said,
unless
no, I
John comes up
No.
and tells
You will see Dany sit on the Iron Throne. She might not stay there. But you will see her sit on the Iron Throne, and that is going to be her character arc. It's going to be over,
if it's
and then
still
she will
there,
die.
If it's still there.
Oh, it's there.
She's birthed the Red Keep. The Iron Throne is underneath the Red Keep.
It's still there.
It's
Until
there.
next time, guys, we're going to have the last season of After Thrones. So we will see you guys next time.